Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Friday, October the 29th. We got a 7-game Friday night slate. As always, guys, we're going to go game by game. We're going to talk through each game on this slate, and I'll give you guys kind of my early thoughts, what does stand out to me looking at this slate on Thursday night. As we do go through each game, we will build out just kind of an early core, 4 or 5 guys that do stand out to me at first look. And obviously, with NBA, this is a sport where there's constant news coming out throughout the day. The slate can change from what it was the night before to the, what it is come lock. The guys you're considering the night before can be terrible plays when lock comes because just of all the news that comes out. Guys could get ruled out randomly. I do provide a lot more updated content that is on Patreon. So if you enjoy these kind of first look videos, if you want to get my more up-to-date content, my updated core plays, you want to get access to my rankings, you want to get in my Discord chat as well, where you can ask me questions anytime. I do provide all that on Patreon, so if you want to check that out, link down below in the description, patreon.com/DFS by Noah. But yeah, guys, before we get started with the breakdown, please do hit the like button. I appreciate all the likes. Hit the subscribe button as well if you have not yet. And check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is also linked down below in the description, or just whenever you sign up for PrizePicks, be sure to use promo code Noah. Now, PrizePicks is a little bit more of a they're a different DFS site. They're more like player prop base where you're kind of picking the over or the under. You're not necessarily building out a lineup or playing against other people. It's basically you versus the projections pretty much. Now they don't have any projections out yet for Friday night's games. Again, I do record all these videos the night before, but I'm sure they'll get some posted, probably late Thursday night, early Friday morning. And you can make some picks for yourself on PrizePicks. They have a ton of sports. I know obviously if you're watching this video, you're obviously into NBA, but they have NFL, they have MMA, they have PGA, college football, they got baseball, tennis, esports. They got everything on PrizePicks. So check them out. And if you do decide to sign up, make sure you use promo code Noah. They will match your first deposit up to $100 whenever you do sign up with my code. But yeah, guys, let's take a look at Friday night's 7-game slate, and we'll start off with the first game of the night, the Magic and the Raptors. So looking on the Orlando side here, looking at the Magic, this is a team I really haven't been too high on this year. I haven't really rostered a ton of Magic guys. I think the only player that I've played from the Magic this season is Mo Bamba. I don't think I've really played anyone else. On this slate, I don't think there's really any standout plays from Orlando. I expect everyone on this team will probably be low owned. So there's some guys you could go to in tournaments for low ownership, like a Mo Bamba or a Cole Anthony. We know both of them have upside, but nobody from this Magic team stands out. I mean, the Magic, they run a deep rotation. Everyone feels priced about right. The matchup against Toronto is not the best. I really don't like much here. If you force me to play someone from Orlando, I think it would be Cole Anthony. I think he's just the guy that gives you the most upside. We've seen him have some big games this year. 40 DK points last game against Charlotte, 66 early this year against the Knicks. Cole Anthony's fine, but there's no standout plays from this Magic team. I think we can move on to the other side here, talk about Toronto. So looking at Toronto today, you got Fred VanVleet at the top for 8,100. I think Fred VanVleet on this slate, feels priced about right. He's been playing a lot better, though, lately, which is good to see. He's kind of started off the year really slow, but the last 2 games, we've seen back-to-back big games from Fred VanVleet, 50-plus DK points in 2 straight. He's playing big minutes as well, which we know is something that Fred VanVleet's always going to do. He's always going to play massive minutes, and basically all these Raptors starters are going to get big minutes. OG Anunoby had a massive game last game. He went for 46 DK points. He also played big minutes, 34 minutes. At their price points, I don't think, VanVleet or OG are going to be like core plays for me. But if you're playing a lot of lineups, these are guys I would want to have in my player pool. Even Scotty Barnes, I don't mind. Now, Scotty Barnes at his price point, a little bit tougher to stomach, but he's been getting big minutes so far this year. He's going to continue to start and get big minutes while Pascal Siakam is out. He's probably my least favorite of the Raptors that we've talked about already, but still playable, especially because of the massive minutes that he's getting right now. But the only other guy I'll mention is Precious Achiuwa. I did play Precious Achiuwa last slate. He was kind of popular. He was around 20% owned in most of the tournaments I was in. I don't think he'll be nearly as popular today. For one, he didn't do that well last game, only put up 21 DK points, and the price tag also went up. Now, at this price point, Achiuwa's gotten to a point where, he's not like a standout play anymore. He was a really good play earlier in the year when he was super cheap and, he was getting big minutes, and he still is getting good minutes, but now the price is up to 5,300. The ceiling for Achiuwa at this price point, it's a little bit limited. Like, in order for Achiuwa to put up a good game at this price, in order for him to really be someone you have to have at this price tag, he's going to have to put up like 35, 40 Draftkings points, which he can do, but, it's not as likely. So now that Achiuwa is priced to where he is, he's just a secondary option for me. I think my favorite plays from Toronto are definitely VanVleet and OG. And then I think Scotty Barnes, Precious Achiuwa are both playable, But that's it for this Magic team, or this Raptors team, I think. And that does it for this game, just in my opinion. There's not too much I really like here. But the next game, there's a lot I like in this one. So we got the Pacers and the Nets. This should definitely be a high-scoring game. I haven't looked at the totals for this one, but I'm sure this probably has the highest total on the slate or close to it. Starting off on the Pacers side, big news here. Malcolm Brogdon is going to be out for Indiana today, and Karis LeVert could make his season debut. He's once again questionable. He was questionable last game. He did not play. We'll have to wait and see if he's able to play, but without Brogdon, I think the biggest beneficiaries are definitely going to be Domantas Sabonis and TJ McConnell. Domantas Sabonis at 9,400. With his price coming down and given the really good matchup against Brooklyn, I like Sabonis a lot on this slate. I think he might be one of my favorite studs overall. I think no Brogdon definitely helps Sabonis. Last year with Brogdon off the court, Sabonis played 671 minutes last season without Brogdon on the court, had a 23.5% usage rate, averaged 1.39 fantasy points per minute. His usage rate didn't really change much. It actually went down a percentage, but his fantasy production did. He averaged 0.1 more fantasy points per minute. I do expect Sabonis to be more productive without Brogdon. Anytime you take a high usage player off the court, it's just going to allow for a guy like Sabonis, a high usage player, to just get even more usage and get even more opportunity. Plus, you factor in the matchup against Brooklyn, a team that's never really been that good defending big men. I like Sabonis a lot. He's one of my favorite studs for sure on this slate. I like him on both sides. I think on Yahoo at $47, he's definitely someone you can consider over on Yahoo as well. But then I do want to talk about TJ McConnell. I expect TJ McConnell to start in place of Malcolm Brogdon. I think TJ McConnell will probably be like one of the highest owned players on the slate. But it makes sense. 5,500. DraftKings bumped up his price a little bit, but they didn't bump it up enough. We saw last year whenever McConnell would make spot starts, like this is a guy that can be very productive when he's on the floor. He averaged over a fantasy point per minute last season with Brogdon off the court. He's a fantasy point per minute player. He's someone that can score. He can get a lot of assists. Whenever he's gotten the ball in his hands, TJ McConnell's always a threat for a double-double, a points, assist, double-double. He can get steals too. He's had some crazy games in the past where he's gotten like 8, 9, 10 steals. Good matchup against Brooklyn. Should be a fast-paced game. TJ McConnell's definitely another standout play from this Pacers team. Assuming he starts for Brogdon. Even if he comes off the bench, I think TJ McConnell is still a pretty strong play. And on Yahoo at $20, I like him a lot over there as well. And then Karis LeVert, if he plays, should benefit without Brogdon, but I'm definitely worried that he'll probably, he's going to be on a minutes limit, I would assume. He's coming back from a back injury, so, we don't really know what his status is right now. We don't really know what his minutes are going to look like. This will be something to keep an eye on. If LeVert is not limited, then I think he actually could be a pretty good option because he definitely will see increased opportunity with Brogdon out. But I'm expecting a minutes limit for Karis LeVert, which is probably going to make him not playable at his price point. Then Chris Duarte, he started off the year pretty hot, kind of come back down to earth a little bit these last few games, but I think without Brogdon, there should also be increased opportunity for Chris Duarte. Now at 5,500, he feels priced about right. Him and McConnell are the same price tag. I would definitely just rather play McConnell. But Chris Duarte is going to get opportunity. He's been getting up shots this year, at least 15 field goal attempts in every single game. When he has good shooting games, he's going to put up big games. It's just a matter of if he can make his shots. He looks like he's going to be a pretty scoring-dependent player. I don't know too much about Duarte, but so far this year, he really hasn't done much with rebounds and assists. You're going to need him to shoot the ball well, but there should be more shots coming his way, with Brogdon off the floor. I think Duarte is definitely in play as well. He'd probably be like my third favorite pacer today behind McConnell and behind Sabonis. And then I think that's probably it for the rest of this team. Miles Turner, every now and then, will just have a massive game. He's one of the most inconsistent players in the league. Like, Miles Turner, some nights will put up 15 DraftKings points, and then out of nowhere, he'll just randomly put up like 50 DK points. He's always in foul trouble, it seems like, but this is a good matchup against Brooklyn. Brooklyn's never been great defending bigs, like I said earlier. It wouldn't be surprising if Turner had a big game here. I think he's worth a sprinkle if you're playing a lot of lineups. I think he's someone worth having in your player pool, but I don't expect him to be like a core piece of my lineups, come Friday night. So that does it for this, the side of this game. Now we'll move on to the Brooklyn side, talk about the Nets. So when it comes to the Nets here, it's really just KD and Harden, and that's probably it. We will talk about Bruce Brown, who I think's in play for value, but KD and Harden are definitely the starting points. Without Kyrie Irving, you expect both these guys just continue to dominate the usage, to continue to play big minutes. KD's definitely been way better than Harden so far this year. He's definitely been more consistent. I think KD is a pretty good pay-up option on this slate. I like the matchup against Indiana. I'm liking the pace of this game. So far this year, obviously a small sample size, but if we do look at pace so far this season, Brooklyn is top 10 in pace so far, or just outside the top 10. The Pacers are a little bit towards the bottom of the league in pace this year, but I know last season they did play at a relatively fast pace. I think this will be a high-scoring game. I think it's probably going to have a high total, I would assume. KD's definitely a good play at 10,300. Harden, God, he hasn't looked great this year. The minutes have still been there. The opportunity has still been there. He's not getting to the free throw line as much as he did last season. He's not getting, fouls called, which I think has hurt him a little bit. I think Harden's going to have a good game at some point. I've been saying that for like a week now. It's some night Harden's going to have like a 30-point triple-double. Could it happen here? It absolutely could. Harden's a riskier option. He's not a stud that I feel great about right now, but the upside is still there. I don't think we need to just give up on James Harden. He's going to have a big game at some point. It could come today. I think Harden is still playable. I think he's a really good like low-owned tournament play. I expect him to be probably single-digit, maybe even like 5% owned or less. Anytime you can get Harden that low-owned, he's always going to be someone worth considering. But the only other net that I have interest in is Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown has started the last few games. They've gone with him instead of Nicholas Claxton in the starting lineup. And, so far the production hasn't been insane, but he's getting the minutes. The last 3 games he started, he's played 27, 30, and 35 minutes, at least 22 DraftKings points in 2 of those 3 games. Bruce Brown has never been a great point-per-minute player, but he is one of these guys that can do a little bit of everything. He'll score a little bit. He'll give you some rebounds, assists. He's not going to get too many assists, but he can definitely get those defensive stats. At 3,800, we'll have to wait and see what kind of value we get as the day goes on. But if Bruce Brown does continue to start, I think at 3,800, he is someone for sure we can consider as a value play. But that does it for this game. Moving on to the next one, Charlotte and Miami. So looking at Charlotte here, I believe P.J. Washington is questionable. Okay, he's doubtful for today. And then Terry Rozier, I think, is questionable. Yeah, so Terry Rozier is questionable. P.J. Washington is doubtful. Both those guys have been out the last 2 games. The biggest beneficiary has definitely been, Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre has started the last few games in place of Rozier. If Terry Rozier plays today and he moves back into the starting lineup, that probably takes me off of Kelly Oubre. That would probably take me off of LaMelo Ball as well. LaMelo Ball's been just so frustrating to roster this season. If you've played LaMelo lately, I understand your pain. It seems like the dude just can't stay out of foul trouble. Last game, he got into early foul trouble once again. He got his minutes cut early on in the first quarter because of that. And he just never seemed to get, it going. He only played 24 minutes last game against Orlando. He did not shoot the ball well. Did not look great overall. The matchup here against Miami is not the best. LaMelo's going to be low owned. I think even if Rozier's out, LaMelo will still be really low owned. So anytime you can get a low owned LaMelo in tournaments, I do have interest in him. But he's not someone I feel very confident in right now. I think there are going to be guys probably that project better than LaMelo. So just a tournament play for me. Miles Bridges continues to play really well, continues to get massive minutes. I think I would probably only be going to him if Washington and Rozier are out again. It looks like PJ will be out, but we'll have to wait and see about Rozier. If Rozier comes back, I think that does hurt Miles Bridges a little bit. Rozier is somewhat of a high usage player. He will take shots. He's going to have the ball in his hands a little bit. Miles Bridges' price tag feels about right. At this price point, you're really going to need him to put up a ceiling game to pay off this price point. But as long as he keeps playing the massive minutes that he is, the opportunity is at least going to be there for Miles Bridges. Gordon Hayward, just hasn't been good this year. I think at some point Gordon Hayward's going to have some good games, but I don't think I'm going to go to him on this slate. Same with Mason Plumlee. That's really it for this Charlotte team. Kelly Oubre, I guess, is fine if Rozier's out again. Oubre should start and probably play like 30 to 35 minutes. He doesn't stand out to me, but he's at least playable if Oubre's, or if Rozier's out. But that's it, or that's really it for Charlotte. Now, on the Miami side here, looking at the Heat, it is a really good matchup for these Heat guys. Charlotte so far this season has been playing at a really, really fast pace. So far, Charlotte is top 5 in pace this season. So guys like Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, even Kyle Lowry, they have upside here. Jimmy's been great, especially the last few games. Over 50 DraftKings points in 2 straight. Continues to get massive minutes as we would expect. At his price point, I don't think Jimmy's like a core play or a cash game option for me, but in tournaments, he's going to be probably low owned on this slate if I had to guess. I think Jimmy is playable. I think same could be said for Bam at 7,800. Bam at his price point feels priced correctly, but a definitely good matchup here against Charlotte. Bam should also be really low owned. He's a solid tournament play. Lowry, I would say, is probably my least favorite of all the Miami guys. So far this season with Miami, it seems like we're only in three games in, but it seems like his fantasy value is definitely not going to be nearly as good on this Miami team. He's just not going to get as much opportunity. So far this year, he's put up less than 30 DraftKings points in 3 straight games. The minutes should still be there. He should still play like 34, 35 minutes a night. But playing alongside Bam, playing alongside Jimmy, even playing alongside Tyler Hero at times, the upside for Lowry so far this year has not looked great. It doesn't look like he's going to be the as good of a fantasy option as he was when he was on Toronto. So I don't know if I'm as interested in Lowry. And then Hero, his price point 6,600. He feels priced correctly, if not a little bit overpriced right now. He was really good those first two games, or at least the second game against the Pacers when Lowry was out. But now that Lowry's back, Hero at his point, or at this price point, is just not someone I'm really that interested in. And I think that's it for the Heat. So we'll move on to the next game, talk about the Kings and the Pelicans. So this is another game I have a lot of interest in. These should be two pretty fast-paced teams so far this season. Looking at pace, the Kings, they are top 10 in pace, and then the Pelicans are around middle of the pack. But both of these teams did play at a relatively fast pace last year, and I think that will probably continue this season. So De'Aaron Fox at 8,400, a guy that has not been really good this year. You look at his game log, his best game was first game of the year against Portland. He put up 45 DK points, and then ever since then, 31, 29, 35. I don't want to look at the game log because I know De'Aaron Fox is a high upside player. I think this is definitely a good time to buy low on De'Aaron Fox. I think this is a really good matchup for him. This should be a fast-paced game. The Pelicans so far this year in terms of defensive rating, looking at them on the defensive end, where are the Pelicans at? I think they're about middle of the pack. Yeah, they're about middle of the pack in defensive rating, but I don't think this Pelicans team defensively is going to be, anything we should be worried about. At 8,400, I do like De'Aaron Fox a lot in tournaments. I think he will be probably lower owned than he should be. 8,400 is cheap for De'Aaron Fox. He's normally like a 9K plus player. Because he's been playing so poorly, the price tag's come down. These are the times when I want to, jump on a player when the price is down, when people are off of them, and now he gets, a really good matchup against the Pelicans in a fast-paced game. So De'Aaron Fox, definitely my favorite play from Sacramento. Outside of De'Aaron Fox, I don't love too much else on this team. Harrison Barnes just continues to crush this year. 58, 49, 35, 39 DK points. 7,400, there's no way I'm playing Harrison Barnes at 7,400. I don't care how well he continues to produce. He's overpriced. He's been definitely outperforming his, expectations, I would say. I don't expect Harrison Barnes to average 45 Draftkings points per game. I'm going to avoid him. Buddy Hield is more of a tournament option. He's one of those guys, he can get hot. He can always put up a big game if he does get hot. It's a fast-paced game, so, there should be opportunity for Buddy Hield. But just a tournament play. Richaun Holmes at 5,800 is probably my second favorite play from Sacramento behind De'Aaron Fox. 5,800 is probably a little bit too cheap for Holmes. In a game that should be fast-paced, in a game where Holmes should be needed here. They're going to have to play big going up against Jonas Valanciunas, so I think we'll get 32, 34 minutes from Richaun Holmes as long as he can stay out of foul trouble. He is a pretty productive player when he's on the floor. At 5,800, I do have a good amount of interest in Richaun Holmes as like a mid-range center option. But that's probably it for Sacramento. Davion Mitchell, I was kind of on last slate. Didn't play that well, only 19 minutes. He's going to be a frustrating player to roster. I think there's going to be opportunity for Mitchell. I think if he comes off the bench and starts knocking down shots, he'll probably see more minutes than he did last game, obviously. But if he's not playing well, if he's not knocking down shots, he might only get 20-ish minutes. So just kind of a dart throw GPP play. But at least, there is some upside and some opportunity for Mitchell if he can knock down shots. They've shown that when he's playing well, they will give him, 25, 30 minutes. But obviously, he's a riskier option. Really, Fox and Holmes are my two favorite plays from Sacramento. Now, on the Pelicans side, there's a good amount that I like here. Brandon Ingram at 8,700 feels priced correctly. I don't think Ingram stands out as a core play for me, but another guy you could definitely sprinkle in tournaments. We know Brandon Ingram has upside. So far this year, he has yet to put up 50-plus DK points, but we know he can put up 50-plus DK points any night. Now, between De'Aaron Fox or Brandon Ingram, I think I would rather side with De'Aaron Fox. We'll have to wait and see what the ownership looks like between those two guys. I think both will be pretty low owned. Ingram is playable, but not my favorite play from Sacramento or from New Orleans. Definitely Jonas Valanciunas is one of my favorite plays from this New Orleans team. So far this year with the Pelicans, he's been getting big minutes every single night, and that's something we haven't seen in the past from J-Val. When J-Val was on Memphis, when J-Val was on the Raptors, it seems like every team would just kind of cut him around 30 minutes. They wouldn't let him play 36, 38 minutes. So far this year, especially in their last three games, he's played 36, 39, and 36 minutes, and I'm pretty sure all those games were in regulation. So I think we get 35, 36 minutes from J-Val here. At 8,500, J-Val can put up 50-plus DK points easily when he's playing the amount of minutes that he is on this Pelicans team. He's been super productive on a point-per-minute basis, as you would expect. J-Val's always been a very productive player when he's on the floor. I think with Zion still out, J-Val's going to get a ton of opportunity. He's going to be heavily utilized. They're going to get him plenty of opportunities around the rim. He's a great rebounder. He's a decent shot blocker as well. He's just a stat sheet stuffer, and he's going to play big minutes, at least it looks like it, with this Pelicans team. So I like J-Val even at 8,500, especially in a good matchup against Sacramento. And I like him a lot on Yahoo as well at $34. He's definitely one of my favorite center options on Yahoo just at first look. NAW is 6,700. More of a tournament option. I don't think he really stands out at that price point. He feels priced correctly, if not, a little bit overpriced. Devontae Graham, though, I do like quite a bit on both sites. $6K on Draftkings and also very affordable on Yahoo, only $19. Devontae Graham been getting big minutes as well. Look at the last few games for him. 35, 39, and 32 minutes, and he's been productive, especially his last two games, 35 and 40 DraftKings points. Devontae Graham showed some upside when he was on the Hornets. He was kind of frustrating to roster a little bit last year. I know he was dealing with an injury last season, but when he was fully healthy, we saw Devontae Graham put up some big games when he was on the Hornets. He's going to get big minutes on this Pelicans team, it does seem like. He's going to get the opportunity. He's going to take shots. He's going to take 15 to 20 shots a game, most likely. It's just a matter of if he can make his shots. He's not a guy that's known for really getting a ton of peripherals. He will get some assists, but rebounds are normally not something he gets a ton of. But if he can knock down shots, there's definitely upside for Devontae Graham. And this is a really good matchup against Sacramento. Again, should be a fast-paced game. Devontae Graham, J-Val, my two favorite plays from the Pelicans. And then I think Brandon Ingram's a solid low-owned tournament option. And that's probably it from this team. So next game we'll talk about Dallas and Denver. Looking on Dallas here, Luka Doncic at 11K. Very frustrated after Thursday night slate. I'm sure a lot of you played Luka. I played Luka in my main lineup. He was very high owned. He was clearly a top play on Thursday's slate, and he just completely shit the bed. Luka had a terrible game Thursday night. I'll be interested to see what his ownership is come Friday night. I think he'll still be somewhat popular, especially if we do get some value open up as the day goes on, because really any slate that Luka's on, he's going to project out as a top just scorer overall. Even on the road against Denver, in this spot that's not the best, like on the road against Denver is not the most ideal matchup, Luka can still go out there and put up 60-plus DraftKings points any night. Given that he busted as chalk on Thursday night, that makes me more inclined to play him for Friday's slate, especially if the ownership's going to come way down. So I still do like Luka. I don't know if he'll be like a core play of mine. We'll just kind of have to wait and see what value opens up as the day goes on. But Luka is still a top pay-up option. Now, Porzingis, he did not play Thursday night. It's a back-to-back. We'll have to wait and see if he plays Friday. If he's out again, we kind of saw who really benefited. They went with Reggie Bullock in the starting lineup, but Maxi Kleber, God, I'm so tilted. Like I had Maxi Kleber in my lineup Thursday night, and then when it was announced that he wasn't starting, I pivoted off of him, and he had like the game of his fucking life. My God, Maxi Kleber, I think on Yahoo at least, where they're scoring, it was 3 points per steals and blocks. He had 48 fantasy points in 29 minutes for Maxi Kleber. Had a double-double with 2 assists, 1 steal, and 6 fucking blocks. 48 fantasy points in 29 minutes for Maxi Kleber. Just unreal. Dude almost averaged 2 fantasy points per minute. Now, normally Maxi Kleber is not a productive player. He's not a guy that's going to average even close to a fantasy point per minute, but he did play big minutes. He played 29 minutes without Porzingis. I'd assume if Porzingis is out again, like Kleber may come off the bench still, but he still should play probably 24, 25 minutes. He's still super cheap on both sides. I think if Porzingis does sit again, we can look to Maxi Kleber as a value play. He would be my second favorite play from Dallas behind Luka. And then Jalen Brunson should see increased opportunity as well. Jalen Brunson did get a good amount of minutes off the bench. He's still really cheap on Yahoo, so I definitely like him there. Played 30 minutes, had 34 fantasy points. Pretty fairly priced on both sides, $4,800 on DraftKings. I think Brunson also benefits if Porzingis sits, so he would definitely be in consideration as well. But we can move on to Denver now and talk about Denver. So big news we're going to have to watch out of Denver is Jokic. Nikola Jokic currently questionable. He got injured in their last game against Utah and did not return. Jokic is the kind of guy that really never misses games. Like we rarely see Jokic out for injury, but this will be something to monitor. This is one of the late night games, so I'm not sure if we're going to have news on Jokic before lock. Huge news, that obviously impacts the slate. If Jokic gets ruled out, I don't really know what they would do with the starting lineup. I'd assume that I guess they would probably start like JaMychal Green at center. I really don't know what they would do because like JaVale McGee is no longer on the team. I have no idea what this Denver team would do. I don't know who they would start in place of Jokic. I'm guessing it would be JaMychal Green. They would just kind of play like small ball center. So JaMychal Green would probably be one of the biggest beneficiaries. Jeff Green would probably see some increased run as well. Those guys would be really good values at 3,100. And then you should see increased usage for guys like Michael Porter, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Monte Morris. Like all these guys would get increased usage with Jokic off the floor, and they would be very, very good mid-range options. Now, if Jokic plays, I think Jokic is the one guy I do like from Denver. Jokic, basically any slate he's on is a top option for me. Now, ranking him between him and Luka, that's close for me. I think I might side with Luka, especially if he comes in at lower ownership. But Jokic is definitely a top option if he plays. If he gets ruled out, though, we can look to guys like MPJ, Will Barton, Aaron Gordon, Monte Morris, and we could look to some value with like maybe a JaMychal Green if he were to start in place of Jokic. But yeah, big news with Jokic questionable. That's definitely slate impacting news, and just something we're gonna have to monitor as the day goes on Friday. But next game we'll talk about. We got the last two on the slate. First off, Clippers and Portland. We've already seen these teams play once this year. It was a massive blowout last time they played. I like loading up on this game though, even though it was a blowout last time. This was a good game to load up on last slate because you expect both these teams to be pretty fast-paced. Portland especially does not expect to be good defensively this year, so it is definitely a good spot for some of these Clippers guys. I think Paul George at 10K makes a lot of sense as a lower-owned tournament option. Now, straight up, I would probably rather play Luka and Jokic. Even Sabonis I like for a little bit cheaper, but I don't think PG gets a ton of ownership today, especially after he's had like 2 back-to-back stinkers. But at 10K, I mean, we've seen Paul George can blow this price out of the water. He can go for 55, 60 Draftkings points. It's a really good matchup. Portland's not good defensively. This should be a fast-paced, high-scoring game. Hopefully it stays close, whereas last time it was a big blowout. Definitely like PG. I think Reggie Jackson's fine at 6,100. He feels priced about right. But Reggie Jackson still has some upside if he can knock down his shots. And again, definitely a good matchup for him. Same could be set for Eric Bledsoe. Those guys feel like similar plays to me. Zubac at 5K, his minutes have kind of been up and down, but the last few games they've been, a little bit higher. I think with Marcus Morris out, that does help to secure Zubac's minutes, just because with Morris out, they can't run small ball lineups where they play Morris at the 5, so they're kind of forced to give Zubac more minutes. He feels priced correctly at 5K, but he should be super, super low owned. They're going to need him out there, to defend Nurkic. Zubac did play 25 minutes, and that was after 3 quarters. He didn't even play in the 4th quarter last time they played Portland. He was on pace to play like 30 minutes last time they played Portland. So if we're going to get like 30 minutes from Zubac here, if they're going to need him to match up with Nurkic, then yeah, 5K for Zubac. He's a really good low-owned tournament play that I expect nobody to be on. And then one value play I do like from the Clippers is Nicholas Batum, 4K. So Nicholas Batum kind of as a first-look value is someone I like a lot. Now we'll have to wait and see what kind of news we get. Maybe Batum will go kind of down my list as the day goes on. But for now, I think at 4K, he does stand out as a decent value. He did start the last 2 games in place of Marcus Morris, played 22 and 32 minutes. Wasn't that productive the game before, but was pretty productive last game against Cleveland. Batum has never been a great point-per-minute player, but he should start again, play 30-plus minutes, good matchup against Portland. I do like Nicholas Batum as kind of a first-look value, 4K on DraftKings. Also, pretty cheap on Yahoo if you want to play him there, only $11 at the power forward position. I like Batum a good amount on both sides. And that's probably it for the Clippers. Terrence Mann had a good game off the bench, but I think he kind of benefited from blowout last time these teams played. 25 minutes, 36 DK points. Terrence Mann feels priced about right for what we expect in terms of minutes from him. He's probably going to play like 25, 26 minutes. I'm fine just kind of avoiding him, even though he did do really well last time they played Portland. So yeah, I think that does it for the Clippers side. Now talking about the Blazers here. So Damian Lillard at 9,300. Continues to disappoint, man. Damian Lillard's one of these guys kind of similar to James Harden. Like, the big Damian Lillard game is coming at some point. There's going to be a game where Damian Lillard shoots like 60% from the field and he just can't miss, and he puts up like 55 DraftKings points. Like, it's coming at some point. Last game he could have had a really big game, but he shot the ball poorly. 27% from the field, 36% from 3. I think at 9,300, Dame does make a lot of sense as a lower-owned tournament play. I don't think he'll be a staple of my lineups. I don't think he'll be like a core option for me. But Dame is definitely playable if you do want to go to him. He's probably my favorite play from the Blazers. CJ McCollum I think is okay, but at 7,900 he feels priced about right for his for what we expect from him in terms of minutes and production. Nurkic is another guy that hasn't really done well this season, hasn't really had a big game yet. But Nurkic is one of those guys that has massive upside, can put up 50 DraftKings points any night. At 7K, another really, really good low-owned tournament play that nobody's going to be on. I definitely have interest in Nurkic. The Norman Powell is questionable once again. If he were to be out, we probably would see Nasir Little start once again. Nasir Little has started the last 3 games in place of Norman Powell. He's played 27, 32, and 27 minutes. There will probably be better value open up as the day goes on, but Nasir Little at 4,100. If Powell sits again and Little starts, he could be a viable cheap play you go to. But I think that's it for the Blazers. We can talk about the last game of the night, the Cavs and the Lakers. So looking on the Cavs side here, the Cavs are a team I've kind of just been fading like all season. I really haven't played many Cavs this year. It is a pretty good spot here. The Lakers have not been good defensively this year. They've been playing at a really fast pace. So it wouldn't be surprising to see a guy like Evan Mobley or Colin Sexton or even Lauri Markkanen do well at their price points. I don't know if there's any standout plays, though, from the Cavs. I don't think there's going to be any core options of mine coming from this team. I think, if I get exposure to this team, it would just be like small sprinkles. If I was playing like 150 lineups, I think I could sprinkle in some Evan Mobley or some Colin Sexton. But there's no standout plays from Cleveland, even though it is a pretty good matchup against the Lakers. Now, on the Lakers side, we're going to have to watch the injury news here. LeBron is once again questionable. LeBron has missed their last 2 games with this ankle injury. It is a matchup against Cleveland, his old team. Maybe he tries to tough it out and play here. I really don't know. We're going to have to watch the injury news for these late night games. Jokic questionable, Porzingis questionable, LeBron questionable. All that news is, coming from these late 10 o'clock games. So it's going to be a tough slate, especially if we don't have this news before lock. We're going to just kind of be guessing. We know who benefits with LeBron out. We've seen it the last 2 games. Westbrook and AD are going to be the guys you want to go to. Westbrook, I think, at 9,700 would still probably be underpriced if LeBron's out again. I mean, the last 2 games without LeBron, Westbrook's played 40 minutes in overtime and then 35 minutes against OKC in regulation. 64 and 59 Draftkings points, had a triple-double last game, was 2 assists shy of a triple-double the game before that. I mean, we've seen Westbrook looks like the old Westbrook whenever LeBron's not on the floor. He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. He's going to get more usage, more opportunity. His assists are going to go way up. He's going to get the peripherals. We know that. He's going to have increased opportunities to score as well. Westbrook's got triple-double upside when LeBron's not on the court. Now, could Westbrook still do well with LeBron on the court? Yeah, he could. But I wouldn't like him nearly as much as LeBron plays. Same could be said for Anthony Davis, and same could be said for all these other Lakers. Now, the one guy I will mention is Malik Monk. Malik Monk has started the last 2 games without LeBron, played 39 minutes and 32 minutes. The production's kind of been inconsistent, but at 4K, I would assume Malik Monk would start again, probably play like 33, 34 minutes. He would definitely be someone you could consider for value, but it's tough to really go deep into this Lakers team, really break them down deeply until we get news on LeBron. LeBron questionable. AD, though, probable. He's expected to play. AD obviously would be a good play if LeBron sits, but again, we just don't really have that news right now. Going to have to wait and see, when we get that news Friday, hopefully sometime early in the afternoon. But yeah, guys, that does it for Friday night's little 7-game slate. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully this little game-by-game breakdown helped you a little bit, kind of made you a little bit more prepared for this slate. I hope you guys enjoyed, though. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and be sure to comment down below. Let me know some of your favorite plays for tonight's slate, and also check the description. Prize Picks link is in the description. You can check out Prize Picks, sign up for Prize Picks, and use promo code NOAH. When you do sign up, they will match your first deposit up to $100. As we mentioned earlier, Prize Picks is more of a player prop based site. So basically, you're just picking the over or the under on the projections they have listed. But you can see all the projections they have for NFL, for MLB, for college football. They'll have some projections posted for NBA probably late Thursday night, early Friday morning. So check those out, guys. If you do sign up for Prize Picks, be sure to use promo code NOAH. They will match your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. But yeah, good luck on this slate, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one. Good luck, guys. Peace.